Welcome, new listeners and returning listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am your host, Doug Blacksher, broadcasting to you live from the city of Diversity, Oakland, California, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time. A shout out to Dr. Ashley, my friend, my colleague, my sister, my co-host, Doctor of Psychology, as we hope to see you back in the studio soon. Tune in and join the discussion today. Welcome back, Allyssa Victory of Victory's Corner, Esquire, and today's episode of Victory's Corner 2024, hashtag Allyssa Victory. Guess who is back and running in Georgia for Congress? My man, my friend, Brother Marcus Flowers of Georgia is back, running against Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you want to fix the state of Georgia, you got to start electing people who can do it. Marcus Flowers is that person. So get out right away and start campaigning, you people down in Georgia, for my friend Marcus Flowers. He should be the next congressman. Flowers for Congress. Trump. Oh my God. Every time I see his name, my stomach starts hurting. Trump and what his plans are for the United States of America. He has just told us who he is and has shown us. So we better damn well believe him and vote blue. Hashtag dump Trump. I was watching Joy Rideout on MSNBC, and she laid out perfectly all the idiotic stuff that he plans to do his first day if he's elected. He's going to come in and go after everybody who he thinks is an enemy. If you are Asian, from Asia, Pacific Rim, if you are from South America, and if you are from Africa, you will be excluded for coming in this country. So vote, and take a friend to vote. Now some positive news. $3.5 million crisis grant from the state of California to enhance community safety in the city of Oakland, California. Now, let's be clear, that's not enough, but that's a start. Ambassadors who will be walking around downtown Oakland corridor, making sure that we have a lot more safe and places where you can walk and enjoy, not to worry about your car getting broken into. So I'm elated to hear that. Congratulations for the $3.5 million crisis grant from the state of California to enhance community safety in Oakland, California. Stop provoking was the tagline at the press conference downtown Oakland when the press conference announced the $3.5 million grant was interrupted. And I will be talking about the person who did that on Thumbs Down. We need leaders in Oakland and not those exciting trouble to be in any way, shape or form, a part of any city position, elected or otherwise, as you can instigate something and then call yourself a victim. And once again, he is going to be my thumbs down. The mentality is basically Trumpism. And Oakland don't play that. You may think we play that, but you're not from Oakland and we don't play that. Thumbs up goes to the state of California for the $3.5 million, which is a start to addressing the violence, the burglaries, the car thefts, the chaos that is causing mayhem in the city of Oakland, California. So thumbs up goes to state of California. Now, thumbs down goes to Seneca Scott, two-time loser, ran for city council and against Carol Fife, who is a black woman who he has been tormenting, threatening, bullying, and women of color. That seems to be your MO. And you ought to be shaming yourself. And audience, he's even threatened me. And I had to put in a police report against Seneca Scott. Senator Scott, I'm gonna take a few minutes to get in that back of yours. No, in that ASS of yours. We're gonna kick it off today, bro. You know, Senator Scott lost when he ran a city council against Carol Fife, and then he's trying to. The second thing is he ran for mayor. It was 10 people who ran for mayor in the city of Oakland, and you came in 12. How you gonna be running with 10 people and you came in 12? That shows you that we don't want you here. Go back to Ohio. You were kicked off several Democratic clubs. The NAACP kicked you off the executive team. What are you doing here? But causing mayhem. You ought to be shaming yourself, young man. And audience, I watched the video of how he ran around and tried to get the mayor of Oakland. He has definitely had some issues with Carol Fife. He has caused himself a victim. If you Google, and that's what I want everyone to do, Google Seneca Scott. Read all the mayhem and chaos that he has caused in Oakland, California. A two-time loser. Worked with Lauren Taylor on the executive committee of the NAACP. I am just speechless. And once again, you lost twice, Seneca Scott. You ran for city council against Carol Fife, and you mad at her because she beat you. The people spoke. They don't want you. Then you ran for mayor. And once again, out of 10 people, you came in 12. So, you know, that says it all. That says it all. Audience, let's be clear here. We have a city that is Black History Month, and it's going to be a Black Joy Parade in downtown Oakland. I have been asked to attend, and I think I will. They have to make special accommodations for me because of some physical limitation. But I am very, very proud to be a part of the Black Joy Parade. Last year, I was honored with being Black History Month by the mayor of Oakland for the work that I've done, both politically, in the community, and for fighting for businesses. I also want to sidetrack on Ray Bobbitt, African American Sports and Entertainment Group. They are working to be the first African American owned NFL team in the country, in the world, and WNBA. So if you're in Oakland and Alameda County, in the state of California, all across the nation, we need to support Black businesses, Black people who are trying to get in new businesses. And I need to further talk about billionaire companies. We have billionaire companies that are getting, how can I say this? Their greed, the greed of these billionaire companies are superseding the employees' needs. The greed of billionaire companies such as Uber, Lyft, Amazon, and others. The greed of these billionaire companies are superseding the needs of their employees. Second, I'm tired of the billionaire companies gaining. They gain through the pains of their employees. They're not looking after their employees. They're causing, and I cite Amazon because last year we did a story on a young lady who died. She died during the COVID pandemic while trying to do her job with a child. Amazon, to my knowledge, up to this day, has not compensated her for her hard work. This goes to the heart. We Black people, and I'm not speaking as a Democrat or Republican, I'm not speaking as a Mason or an Elk, I'm speaking as a Black man concerned about how these billionaire companies are pimping our people. They're pimping our people. Black people at some of these big at all these billionaire companies are being pimped. Starbucks is trying to go union, a $30 billion company. They had to fight in certain areas to go union. One of the things that hurts me the most is when you work for a company and they know they are racist and they hire racist people, and those racist people direct that energy to perpetuate an environment that is dangerous. Now, Amazon, I've talked to some of your drivers. I've talked to some of your warehouse people. You promote yourself as an employee driven company. That's a lie. That's a downright lie. You got people out there who are dying, getting injured, getting hurt because of the lack of OSHA compliance. Yes, OSHA compliance you lack. And OSHA here in California, we need to start looking at why are people getting hurt? Why, OSHA, why are you not looking after the people who are working? That's your job. I owned a construction company, built hospital, the Golden Gate gift shop, and the Golden Gate Bridge is worldwide known. None of my people got hurt because I practice safe working conditions. What are you doing, Amazon? Lyft, Uber, pay your people. Quit pissing on their legs and tell them it's raining. Other big billion-dollar company, manufacturing and others, you need to start practicing safe work methods. You got some good management people at some of these companies, but you got some bad management people, and you got to start getting rid of them. Because if you don't get rid of them, that means you are complicit in their dangerous managerial techniques that are causing employees to have to not come to work because they're at company doctors on disability. I am truly concerned that African Americans are treated similar to how African Americans are treated now, similarly how African Americans were treated back in the 17 and 1800s and the early 1900s. Picking cotton. Why don't you just call us cotton pickers? Your lack of concern for safety, your lack of concern for your employees is dangerous, not be tolerated. Now, on that note, our deepest thank you. Donnie, you have no idea how East Coast feel about, or excuse me, the West Coast feel about you. You have given the Black Business Roundtable the ability to voice its opinion about business and politics. We're going into our third year. I will assure you that we will make you proud, and we will continue to do the best we can to represent blackusa.news. We will challenge truth to power. We will get these old gatekeepers who have denied these young people the opportunity to lead in their community. The NAACP, once they found out what a joker, what a moron, what an idiot, once the Democratic clubs found out what a joker, what an idiot Seneca Scott was, how he has devastated, put a black eye on their organization. You got rid of them. So I have to commend you on that. But once again, Seneca Scott, I hope you get this message. You are a two-time loser. And when you ran for mayor, once again, out of 10 people, you came in 12. So that shows you that you are not wanted or needed in Oakland, California. Please go back home to Ohio and take that nonsense with you. As we wait for Allyssa Victory, Esquire, for Victory's Corner, I want to sit back and let you all know how the West Coast wants to play a critical part in helping not only our audience understand how important. Oh, there she is, Allyssa Victory of a Victory's Corner, Esquire. I'll see you Saturday, hon.
Yes.
Okay,
Excited to see you.
I'm gonna step off the stage because I got a 15-minute interval, but we are going to we appreciate you coming out. So I'll turn it over now.
Thank you. Well, happy February. Happy Black History Month, everybody. It seems like it's been a while since our last Victory's Corner, but so happy to be back on the Black Business Roundtable. I'm Allyssa Victory. I'm a lifelong resident of Oakland, and I'm a civil rights attorney. I want to share some thoughts today around public safety. It is an issue that's constantly in the news, that's gaining a lot of attention on many different fronts, that's concerning to residents, and it's also part of my job. I work professionally in criminal justice advocacy, and it was also one of my top platform points when I ran for Oakland mayor in 2022. Our city is very unique and very diverse, but a lot of the working class communities, Black communities, communities in the so-called flatlands versus the hills, have experienced high levels of violence my entire life. That there's some level that seems to be normalized, ignored, not responded to, no sense of urgency or priority to make interventions or remedies or even things like healing, right, for people who are witnessing and experiencing that every single day. I'm talking about like physical violence, gun violence, but also violence of poverty, of joblessness, of over incarceration and policing, and street violence where like there's people who are getting hit by cars, who are getting hit trying to go to the bus stop. There's a lot of traffic violence because our streets are just set up unsafely. There's a lot of potholes that cause accidents. So there's constant different types of violence and levels of violence that has been going on for a long time, and now it's reaching other parts of our city. It's very apparent to people who are coming to visit our city. And so it's in the news a lot more. But a lot of the levels that we're seeing now, it feels like it's even more critical. It's definitely affecting our local and small businesses and our Black businesses. And some of them are closing or having to, minimize their operations and maybe blaming it on crime or public safety issues. And some of these businesses are in areas that have long been divested and not really had any support. I've talked last year in my segments with this table about the lack of economic justice and economic equity, the lack of real investments and opportunities in Black businesses, the disparities in Black contracting with the city, and things like choosing to manage encampments has just made it worse, where there's an explosion of houselessness and people who are poor and who are struggling that are setting up on sidewalks, that are setting up outside of schools, setting up at intersections or taking over entire streets. And that absolutely is affecting our economy and our business and people's ability to feel safe to go and patronize some of these businesses, or workers to even feel safe coming to work and having to deal with a different level, right, of stress or violence or of people who are in crisis. There's a lot of focus on downtown and the downtown business district. I mean, every city has some type of downtown, and that is where there's a concentration of businesses. That's where people may go out more. In Oakland, we have a downtown, but we also have so many other business corridors and business districts, at least one in all the other 7 districts of our city. There's not equal focus. There's not equal publicity of what's happening in those districts, the businesses there. They don't get a lot of shine or a lot of love. There seems to be constant crisis about what's happening in downtown, but very little focus on some of our other economic engine areas like the airport district. Right, Oakland is home to an international airport, and it's the first thing people see if they're visiting for the first time, if they're getting off the plane to come to some of our games or to go to San Francisco or to visit any other parts of the Bay. That's their first introduction to what our city is, and there's not a lot down there. I used to live on 88th, not too far from the airport, and there wasn't a lot for residents. There's like no banks. There's no stores. There's barely any restaurants. Even the few restaurants that are out there are starting to close, are blaming on things like public safety, on homelessness, on, again, lack of investment. We also have our beautiful Coliseum, where we still have the A's playing, and they're hoping to extend their current lease there, where we have envisioned more development, more sports, including soccer, moving into that venue. We have the Oracle Arena, where there's concerts and Disney on Ice and all types of entertainment happening. And then there's just nothing in the area. And so there could be, again, another place where our city invests more, is publicizing more, is encouraging people to visit. We don't really see that. We see it talked about somewhat in terms of all the negotiations with the sports teams, but still the surrounding area has been divested and devastated for a long time. We have the city, again, that's choosing to manage encampments and has city-sponsored encampments throughout that area in different parking lots. And I've seen them just expand. We have seniors who are living in trailers over there that still need food and other assistance. And so there's kind of an intersection of not just crime or safety issues that are really affecting our business communities. There are also economic issues. There's equity issues. And some of these businesses have been raising these for a long time, have been ringing the alarm for a long time. Some of our Black businesses, even the ones downtown, have been overlooked and have been fighting against being pushed out. We have some historic Black districts where the majority of blocks are owned by Black owners and have been for decades. We have businesses like Jeffries, which is a club, is a community space, has a lot of political meetings and educational events. They're having special jazz brunches, and they've been threatened and been fighting it out at city council because our planning department has been trying to approve a building right next to it that could damage the ancient infrastructure and the sensitive infrastructure of Jeffries, that could take over in terms of its massiveness and the type of tenants in our community, without respect for who has really been in our community for a long time, for some of our long-standing businesses that have been a part of our community that make people feel like this is their home. And Jeffries has been fighting for a long time. They're going to continue to. There's some resolutions coming forward that are about supporting and honoring that as a historic Black business district, being more public about that, including things like banners, making sure people know when they visit, when they step on that block, that this is a Black-owned area. We want you to patronize it, but also understand the history and respect it. Again, there's been issues of economic justice. There's even commercial real estate issues where really classic places like Luca's Tap Room and Lounge, that was right in downtown, had their rent raised 3 times the amount and were unable to afford that. Their landlord was very unreasonable. It was a staple in our Oakland community, and they had to close in 2022. There's the Port Bar that has been a long-standing LGBTQ institution with really strong turnout. It's always packed when they have drag brunches and other special events, and their landlord is refusing to renew their commercial lease. So there's also other disputes and elements that are going into just the attacks and the threats on our locally owned businesses, on some of our really long-standing Oakland businesses that make our business community really unique and that offer spaces to communities that look like me, communities that want to celebrate other folks in the diversity of our great city in Oakland. There's an intersection, again, of the commercial real estate crisis, of people being pushed out, of gentrification at the retail level, but also of crime, of safety issues. And some of these have been going on my entire life in the city of Oakland. And there has not been a really acute priority and focus to address that. There's been a lot of talks, a lot of community meetings and engagement and brainstorming sessions, but we have to see action. And a lot of it is going to take some investments and even partners more regionally to really build back up our business communities, especially investing in corridors like the airport district that have been divested over decades. And again, should be one of our strongest engines to bring in tourism, to bring in guests that are coming here for shows and entertainment that has so much space, even more than places like downtown, to build and to have newer types of developments and offerings. Public safety is not theoretical to me. It is very real. I work in this, but not just as my job. I live in it. Part of why I'm a criminal justice attorney is because I'm impacted by public safety issues and violence myself. I have family members who are incarcerated. I used to teach inside of San Quentin prison for several years. I work with people who are coming out of prison and returning home to ensure that they don't reoffend, that they have some stability in their housing and their employment, that they have basic navigation of how to get an ID, right? Of how to register to vote, of where there's resources and employment opportunities for them. But I've also been directly impacted by things like gun violence. Just last month, at the end of January, my house was caught in the crossfire of a shooting. And it was one of the first times I'd even seen a shooting in my neighborhood on the news. I've witnessed a lot of shootings. There's constant gunfire in the neighborhood that I live in that's called the San Antonio community in the East Oakland around the 20s. There was 3 bullet holes still in my home right now because the bullet came through being caught in that crossfire. And I wasn't targeted, but it still affects my family deeply. I live with my godson, who's a minor, right? He was sleeping at the time. My father-in-law was visiting for the first time, had just got into town that night. And that is something he had to experience with me as well. And I did some interviews, talked to people in the community, talked to some of our electeds. Some people's immediate reactions or response were things like, why don't you just move? Why don't you just leave? Why don't you just get your family out of Oakland? Why don't you leave that whole neighborhood? One, my godson has lived here his entire life. Like, he's grown up in this. I've lived in this particular apartment building for 2 years. And again, I've seen a lot of constant violence in different forms all around this neighborhood. So this isn't the first time this happened. I don't believe it's going to be the last time. And it's not actually a solution to just push people's fear, say you should just leave those communities entirely. Gun violence, one, is an epidemic across America, but also just moving out of the neighborhood doesn't make it safer, right? It doesn't actually address the problems. It doesn't prevent violence, and it doesn't address safety for all of my neighbors, for the 2 schools that are located within 2 blocks of me, for the park that's 4 blocks from here, for people who are waiting at the bus stop in any direction that depend on public transit, right? So I am committed to my community as more collective. Even if I had the means, which I don't, to just move tomorrow, that still doesn't solve the problems that we're seeing in Oakland. Everyone should be able to live with dignity and with peace and safety. And there has to be more than just incarceration as a solution. A lot of people wanted to push, well, we need more cops then. Cops responded to my shooting incident in less than a minute, right? So it was not an issue of lack of police. There was at least 5 police cars on scene that started conducting an investigation for more than an hour. There was still folks that are continuing to investigate. I've heard there's been at least 1 suspect taken into custody, and there's more that's still being uncovered as they do their jobs. And so this isn't about lack of public safety funding, that we still have to have other and more varied versions of public safety and things like violence prevention, right, to prevent it from the first place. There also needs to be a lot of healing. Again, there's so many families with children and with elders. There's 2 schools within 2 blocks of my house, right? They are living through this every day. They're walking their children to school in this every day. These are their family members that may be involved or that may be hurt in the crossfire. And so this is not something that I feel like I could just walk away from or move away from. Oakland is my home. I've lived here my whole life. I want to continue doing that. I want my city to be better and to be safer for everyone, including our businesses as well, to be able to thrive here and have a positive experience. There are a lot of positives. We have a beautiful, vibrant community. Again, a lot of diversity. Our young people are resilient, but it's in spite of a lot of the hardships that we have to deal with on a constant basis. And I was clear that, again, this is not the first time I've seen violence in this particular neighborhood. Not the first time I've heard gunshots and they've been close to home. Not the first time I've seen somebody shot in this neighborhood. It's just one of the first times I've seen more news outlets reporting it. So I'm glad to be planted here to help bring attention to the fact that this neighborhood has had a high level of violence for decades. And that, again, has been normalized by people in our leadership, people who are deciding where to fund public safety interventions or violence prevention. That it is still not reaching folks that have just had to live with it, folks that are working class, that are more poor. There's a lot of immigrants in this community who don't speak English. So my neighbors are monolingual Spanish and Chinese speakers who aren't able to communicate everything that's happening to some of our electeds or some of the official outlets. And that's really important to understand the community and that they've still been here a long time, longer than me in this particular part of Oakland. And they've had to just deal with it. They've had to navigate it. They don't have a lot of reporting going on. I didn't even see OPD report that there occur and that they were investigating. And so having, again, just basic transparency is critical, but also will really continue to push things like healing. People are dealing with trauma, with mental health. If you hear gunshots all the time, right after that was Chinese New Year and like fireworks all night, right? Those things, like, are those fireworks or are those firearms? So there's a lot of still trauma and anxiety that our children, that our neighbors are growing up with and just living with, and don't have any resources or feel like they can't ask for that. And so I'm going to continue to work to see my neighborhood improve, to see my entire city improve. I'm in this type of work. I ran for office because I'm impacted by a lot of the problems I see in Oakland. And I don't see enough of our news and some of our electeds talking about solutions and real solutions, not just a piece of it of let's lock up the perpetrators, but what are the solutions that can affect the entire community that is impacted by the issues that are going on. I also want to remind people that last time I talked about the March primaries, we're getting even closer to that now. We've only got a few weeks to vote. The 20th was the last day to register to vote online. You can still vote up until the day of the election, March 5th, in person. You can go to the registrar's office or your polling place and ask for what's called a provisional ballot. It is critical that you vote. It's not the only thing you should be doing. There's work and ways to get involved year round, but you should absolutely exercise that right when you have it. As long as you're over 18 and a US citizen, you have the right to vote in California. That includes ex-felons. And I run into a lot of ex-felons in my line of work, in my neighborhood, that still do not understand or believe or have never been told that they have the right to vote, which was restored back in 2020. So we've got to make sure you get out the vote, take somebody with you, give somebody the link to register to vote. There's a lot on the ballot. I went over some of the key races, including county supervisor, on my last segment in January. I'm personally endorsing and supporting the People-Powered Progressives for a Democratic Central Committee. If you live anywhere in Alameda County, visit peoplepoweredprogressives.com. We're again running against people that are considered moderates. We don't need moderation, right? We need progress. We need progress on public safety, progress on democracy. We need progress on economic justice and on our business communities. We need people that are going to push those things forward, not take us backwards, not be too moderate and want to not shake the boat. And I know Doug is not about being silent about the issues in our community. He's not about the status quo or being complacent and accepting things. And so we want folks that are going to be loud and unapologetic about their values around centering people, being people-powered, and serving the folks that are electing them across this county. So please make sure that you vote by March 5th. If you're already registered, you should have got your ballot in the mail. If you don't, make sure you go into a polling location and that you cast your ballot for whatever races. Again, I'm more about local. There's also the presidential races on the ballot. It's very hard now. I'm wearing a ceasefire shirt because there's a lot of violence that the U.S. is engaging in across seas due to our president. But we're still working on a local level to address ceasefire and stopping some of the violence and the gun crisis locally here in Oakland and Alameda County. So I'll pause, but very happy to be back with you all for Black History Month. Absolutely go to Black Joy Parade. We need, again, more joy, more peace, more places of positivity where all generations of Black folks in the city can just celebrate our history, celebrate our futures, celebrate all the things that are being done right now in this moment, and not just fixate on some of the negatives and not be afraid to leave our houses.
On that note, I want to show everybody I made a change in clothing, and I want you to read. My shirt says Black, Black, Black Power Builders. Now, what that means is white folks, don't get scared. We're not going to do what you have done to us for the last 400 years. But what we want, and Allyssa, you can leave the stage at any time, but one of the things, folks, you don't understand here is this is a very powerful young attorney, civil rights. And she is on the committee, and tell me if I'm wrong, about reparation. This country is the richest country in the world on the backs of Blacks. We need to see some type of reparation that will give Black people the same thing Asian people get, Mexican people get, Indian people get, Russian people get. When they come to this country, the United States of America give them money to buy stores in the community, buy smoke shops, buy stores, etc., etc., etc. And all Black people are asking for is to be treated the same. So on that note, Allyssa Victory, you said I'm a fight, and let me tell you something. Audience, for my city and for my county, I'm going to be like Wyatt Earp and Shaft in one. Wyatt Earp and Shaft. I'm going to start picking people off who got elected and lied about what they're doing. And if they're not doing anything, I'm the wrong person to piss off. And a lot of you are not doing anything. And we are going to bring that out to light. That's one of the reasons I'm taking gabapentin and ibuprofen 800 every time I do this show, for one reason, is because I'm back, black, and ready to act, and that's act up. And the second thing, Allyssa Victory, because I know a lot of attorneys. They have a group of civil rights attorneys that have hooked up, that are addressing the denial of inference for black contractors to get. There's no more racism. You black folks is okay now. Everything is fine. Clarence Thomas, who's an idiot. Clarence Thomas is a bumbling Uncle Tom idiot, and you can show him this tape. For him to have elevated himself to where he is, and now try to take it away from other people. I don't even call you honorable, Clarence. You are an idiot. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Shame of yourself. So, that being said, the other part of it is, you billion-dollar companies who run your businesses, like Plantation, Uber Lyft, Amazon, who we had a person on the show, she died. Her sister died, leaving a kid back, and Amazon running like Forrest Gump, not to pay this woman after not providing her with the proper protective equipment during the COVID. And I'm going to keep bringing that up. The last but not least, before I close this out, black people, we need to start galvanizing our power economically. If the only reason they have so many billionaires who own these companies is the black economics spending money. Stop spending money in Amazon. Other companies, they have companies out there where you don't have to spend your dollars with them. You can. There's a lot of other alternatives. Amazon is one of the richest. The owner of Amazon is one of the richest men in the world, but his people are some of the poorest people in the world, and that's shameful. And other companies who dog their employees out when they get sick, when they get hurt, they don't take care of them. And when the management of these big companies don't manage well, and people get sick and die, you're going to be held accountable. Call me Robin Hood against the big corporations who are pimping, who are holding their employees hostage, slaves. Call me Robin Hood. And for you local politicians who demonstrate a lack of leadership, call me Wyatt Earp and call me Shaft, because I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. On that note, would you have any closing thoughts, Allyssa, before I close it out? Because as you can see, my passion is high.
Absolutely. Don't ever lose that passion.
Hold on, get you back on.
Absolutely agree.
Hold on, Allyssa.
I can see you. Can you hear me?
Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, man, I think I hit a wrong button here. Okay, you back?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I'm sorry. That was on my bad. I am, Allyssa.
Oh, good.
It is my honor, and I'll see you this Saturday. It is my honor to know you, to have met you in 2017, to see young black people standing up, wanting to be leaders, but you get these old, excuse my language, ass gatekeepers who don't want to pass the baton, who don't want to see progressiveness, who want to lick ass of the previous administration. And I'm gonna say this one thing. There was a woman in Oakland, and you may remember her name. She started a program called The Promise, where she mentored and trained kids from kindergarten through 12th grade, and promised those kids if they graduated from high school, she would help them pay for their college. You remember that lady?
Yes.
Can you remember her name?
No.
I can't either, but next episode I'm gonna have her name.
You're gonna dive into education. Well, yeah.
Libby Shah, ex-mayor of Oakland, took that project over and got over $100 million from Salesforce, PG&E, Clorox, Kaiser, and I can go on and on and on. How many kids do you know of that she put through college?
I don't know any personal, but
okay.
I'll just say
and I've been following
reparations, which is key to so many of the things we touched on: the businesses, economic justice, even criminal justice. Right? People are desperate, people are poor, people are homeless, and are turning to things that are criminalized because there aren't other legitimate avenues to make money or to keep themselves afloat. And there has to be some reparations around, again, the hundreds of years, the centuries of violence, of theft from the Black community that's continuing by big businesses and billion-dollar corporations. As you said, people working for slave wages, being treated like slaves. I also used to do minimum wage enforcement, where people were working and not getting paid a single dollar. We're not even making the minimum wage, which is illegal. Some of these companies that are closing down are actually closing because they've had to pay out for their workers' rights violations, not for public safety issues. So all of those are so interconnected, and reparations can help to remedy so many of those problems. Repair, right? It's about repairing, right? Repairing those gaps in our community, repairing people, repairing their families, repairing our businesses, repairing our own economic power that was really stolen and robbed from us.
Well, Kamal Hubbard, you said Doug is keeping it 100. And let me just say, Kamal Hubbard, who is the guru of Bitcoin, let me tell you, brother, they better be taking care of you down at the Port of Oakland, because I will bring a shitstorm of heat. I am tired of these young people putting themselves out there to do great work. It's time for us Black people to stop being slaves and start being owners. Stop thinking like consumers and start thinking like owners. Start owning instead of buying. To that end, I'm asking each and every one of you, when you go out and spend your money at Amazon, Lyft, Uber, put that same energy in fighting for these people who are quite a few. The numbers in Blacks are quite a few. And the more companies that I find that are pimping the people, and specifically Black people, I will be bringing your name up. We have got to stand together. If Black people stop spending money for one day in this country, we would shut it down. On that note, girl, I'm so fired up. Hey, keep your law degree, because you might have to come get me out of jail.
Don't say that.
Once again, thank you, Allyssa Victory of A Victory's Corner. We welcome you every other Thursday to come on and enlighten our people why it is important to vote, who can vote. I would like for you to set up one of the next couple times, talk about reparation. Because once again, white America, you are the richest country in America because of you had free labor. If I had 50 white people working for me back in the 17 and 18 and 1900s, hell, for free, I'd be rich for free. Put them in a shack, give them hog guts and pick berries in the back, and you picking my cotton and making me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I would be able to have generational wealth too. And that's real talk, folks. That's real talk. And it's about time we start talking real talk and we start talking reparation. because we have gotten the short end of the stick. Healthcare, money, owning property, generational wealth, uh, jobs. I can go on and on and on. To that end,
We'll see you in a few weeks. Thank you again for having me. Happy Black History Month. Hope y'all close it out strong, and we'll definitely get to talking about some reparations soon.
I'll see you Saturday too.
All right. Peace.
God bless. Bye-bye. Our deepest thank you to Mr. Donnie Glover of BlackUSA.News for the honor. Donnie, it has been an honor to work with you, and I will make sure that one day you'll say, I knew that brother was an investment, because I'm hot, I'm fired up, I'm pissed off, I'm tired of seeing Black people getting shitted on. I'm tired of the system. I'm tired of this racism in this country. I'm tired of these Uncle Tom old ass gatekeepers not passing the baton on. I'm tired of it all. I'm tired of Black people dying on these jobs, getting injured and maimed, and these white companies, just brush them to the side. All I can say is I know a gang of lawyers who are very sharp, who are intelligent, who are willing to stand up and fight for the people who can't fight for themselves. To that end, once again, Donnie, we love you here on the West Coast. Our deepest thank you to Mr. Donnie Glover of Black USA for the honor of the Black Business Roundtable being a part of your growing network dedicated. And that's the key word. Donnie Glover is dedicated to bringing the real unfiltered news before the news. Hashtag Black USA News. Hashtag Donnie Glover. Continue sharing. Hashtag Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, North Carolina, 2022. And once again, stand with Carlton of Raleigh, NC. And that stands for North Carolina 2022. Hashtag Justice for Enzo, a dog, beautiful husky, dragged down the street, tased by police and by the dog catchers, animal control of Lodi in front of the community, and had no respect for the community, and dragging that dog. The dog wasn't doing nothing. So I hope you continue to not patronize Lodi until they address that issue. If you want to be in the know and reach our audience, then join our BBRT advertising family, or to be a possible guest on the show, reach us via our email, bbrt2021@hotmail.com. Include your company name, address, website, company phone number, and social media page info to our email address, bbrt2021@hotmail.com for vetting consideration. Audience, has been a powerful show today. I got a lot off my mind, and let me be clear here. Everything I said today, I plan to do. So for those of you who continue to torment, you billionaire companies continue to torment people, and specifically people who look like me, it's going to be a new day. Robin Hood is coming through. And those of you politicians who continue to lie, cheat, and steal and break the deal, Wyatt Earp and Shaft is coming to shaft your operation, point you out, and get you out of office, and get real people who want to represent their constituents. It's time to go, so you might as well start packing your bags if you're not changing. We look forward to seeing you Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time on the Black USA Network on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, audience. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, together we can listen, we can learn, and we can share, because I know you care. This is Doug Blacksher and Dr. Ashley Coleman, returning soon of the Black Business Roundtable. God bless and good night.